There we go. We're trying to get on Facebook here, so it takes just a second there for that to come up. Welcome to the 14First Alert Weather Show at 9. I'm Jeff Lyons, and we, of course, have heat to talk about. We also have storms to talk about, too, so plenty to fill up our weather show here at 9 o'clock. I am watching comments, as always, on the 14 News Facebook page, so bring me up if you have a question or concern here. Alert day status is the same, but we're kind of elevating that storm threat a little higher now in our concerns. Now, of course, we're going to have the heat index over 110 again tomorrow. The extreme heat warning will end tomorrow, and we will likely go into a heat advisory, which is the way the Weather Service kind of steps down a little bit. But we will still see some considerable heat index values on Saturday and Sunday, depending on when the storms develop. And that risk zone here for heat will change over to orange for a heat advisory soon, probably after tomorrow evening. Temperatures out there, the feels like still at 96 in Evansville, 99 in Nashville. And looking ahead, we have a slight cool down coming our way early next week. But notice we have a daily chance for showers and thunderstorms. The current feels like temperature right now is showing at 96 at Evansville, 92 at Owensboro. Notice how much cooler it is in Madisonville and Greenville. This is where we had some thunderstorms earlier this evening, and see what a difference that can make. And so hopefully we will get just enough thunderstorms to cool it down, but not too many to screw up your plans here for the holiday weekend. This is what the radar is showing now. We had some storms up all the way into Hopkins and Muhlenberg County, but notice how they quickly faded away, and that's one quality of the storms that we will see here with this heat, is they won't last long. It really is tough for them to propagate or continue to move along. That will change over time. Our models are still depicting some thunderstorms redeveloping tomorrow afternoon into the evening, and then the more likely scenario here as we go into Saturday afternoon and evening will be to have some scattered storms rolling through around the 2 p.m. basically all the way up to 6 or so, and then fading away and moving on out. And during that time, any storms that get going would likely put down very heavy rainfall and potentially some gusty winds. So that is our concern. We're at a level 1 risk across much of the tri-state, really all the way through Saturday for a few severe storms. Not widespread, not a tornado outbreak, nothing like that. These are going to be good old-fashioned gully washer, heavy rain, and then as they collapse, you could get 30 or 40 mile per hour winds. Our low this morning was down to 76. We hit 95 this afternoon, so today was the hottest day of the year so far. Our temp warmer than yesterday by about 2 degrees. The low was 8 degrees warmer than normal, and the high was 7 degrees above normal. So we are running hot, obviously. So 2 red days there on the calendar here as we start out July. And, you know, 90s are pretty at par for the course for July. It's the hottest month of the year typically. For the month, we're a little behind on rainfall, but again, that's the rain is basically, we expect around 4 inches in July, but it's prorated across the month. So each day you would anticipate 1600ths or something like that. We don't get it that way, of course. You'll have one day with an inch of rain and then none for a week. For the month, we, of course, had this blockbuster month last in June, and so the drought monitor actually improved for a change. I think this is the first time this year where none of our counties are in any kind of drought classification. I mean, if you want to get nitpicky, down here in extreme northwestern Gallatin and southwestern White, it's a little abnormally dry. I question that. I mean, I've seen the rain over the last few days. I can't imagine anybody would consider the tri-state abnormally dry as of now. Looking at the bigger picture here, that ring of fire continues with storms around the periphery of the heat dome. But notice we have more thunderstorms happening where the dome was, which means it is actually more centered now to the northeast. And I don't know if you follow the news, but New York City hit 100 today. Washington, I think, was 100 or 102. Really, really sweltering, blistering heat now advancing up the eastern seaboard there. As our high moves on, there might be a line or two of showers and storms that try to get going and come through. And we can't rule out, a line of thunderstorms tomorrow evening, Saturday afternoon and evening. That's what our model is showing here, maybe stretching from Indy back to the boot heel of Missouri. But it would be kind of a compressed time frame where like 2 to 6, it might go great guns with the rain, and then after that it would quickly scuttle and move on out with more showers possible Sunday. There's your temperature profile again with cooler temps for the early part of next week. And the long range, these basically the takeaway, you're going to see a lot of green, but what that means is we have a daily chance for scattered thunderstorms. And that's where the app and our forecast, that's why we have that 20% or 30% each day. Total rainfall for the week on the GFS, and this would be from now through next Thursday, coming up at about an inch, 8/10. And the European also advertising here a daily chance for thunderstorms. Still kind of hot, upper 80s, and by the end of the week there, at least a week from today, Thursday, we're probably looking at a rainfall of about 3/4 of an inch or so. I think the European, they're both very close, not quite in lockstep, but the European a little wetter. So tonight, we're done with the storms for now, 75 degrees. Tomorrow, more will pop up, probably in Kentucky first. They may, push their way up into southern Indiana and maybe Illinois during the day and evening tomorrow. Saturday looks like the best chance for some thunderstorms, a little more widespread, which is why we have a 40% chance on Saturday. And then longer range, we're looking at warmer than normal and wetter than normal too. You saw that daily chance of rain next week. All right, this is Marley. I think that Marley has the dog days of summer written all over there. I think that's how we all feel right now. So we'll let Marley cool off there in the background, and I will check your questions. Let's see. If I seem a little scatterbrained, I just did a podcast. We use this room for the podcast, Inside Look. I just talked to Allie Seaton, our new sports anchor, and fascinating. You're going to want to hear that one. She's a fire breather. Isn't that wild? Not in sports. Well, at least not yet. There's always new horizons to conquer around here. All right, let's see. Lucas Sigler sitting here in Providence and can see some really dark clouds toward Madisonville. Yeah, those storms have pretty much dissipated, but I'm sure the cumulus are still there. But they had a pretty good little thunderstorm there between Madisonville and down to about White Plains. So if you just kept going down either 41 or 69, I guess 69 goes that way. Whatever it is, used to be the Pennyroyal Parkway. I got to start looking at maps again, don't you think? What is it called? It's not the Western Kentucky goes over towards Central City. I guess it's the Breathitt or the Pennyroyal. But that road, the 4-lane road. What was my point? Oh, the thunderstorms were down. They actually had severe thunderstorm warnings in Christian County, which is Crofton and then Hopkinsville, going south, and for heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. But the storms, as they collapsed, they kicked out another little batch of storms that made it up to Sacramento, so McLean County, and then Hopkins and Muhlenberg. There we had some thunderstorms up around Bremen. Cheyenne Hammonds, good evening. Glad you're on, Cheyenne, always. Let's see here. Suzanne Daly is watching. Thanks, Suzanne. Jeff Miller, good evening. Jeff Miller, I thought about you today. So my, well, wait, I won't get that off my chest yet. I got to get everybody's questions here. Paulette Allen, thanks for keeping us updated. Well, you're welcome. From Bobby Allen. Okay, Pastor Bobby Allen. All right, well, bless you. I'm glad you're watching. Zach Seitz says, next week, Evansville anticipated to be a complete washout. No, it'll be scattered thunderstorms each day. Now back to Jeff Miller. I thought of you today in particular because my wife had a friend. You know how this is going to go. And she had a bunch of rose bushes that they had gotten, taken over. So she had kind of thinned them and pulled them out. And we had a bunch of plants that didn't make it through the winter. They froze out and they were brown and ugly, and I pulled them all out. And so I had 9 plants, rose bushes that I had to plant this morning. So I thought, if I get out there early, 9 o'clock, what could go wrong? And it was, and, it's not hard work. I mean, a little shovel and, and gloves so you don't get stuck to death. But man, I was sucking air by the time I finished that and soaking wet. And I thought, well, I should practice what I preach. I should have done a couple yesterday and then a couple today and a couple tomorrow. But it just illustrates it. I stood up and I was like, whoa, dizzy, and I thought, okay, I need to go in and get some ice water. And I'm not a wimp. Well, I'm probably a wimp, but I thought, it can't be that bad here at 9, but it sure was. So do be careful. Don't underestimate the heat when you're out there. And if your wife brings home rose bushes, just plant them in the dark of night. Do it right away. Angie Wampler is over the hot weather in Vincennes. Yeah, I know. Kim Gott, we could see dark clouds with orange-pink on the outline, but we did not see anything in Greenville. That's because the thunderstorm was between you and the sun, right? The setting sun. So it cast a shadow and that orange, halo sort of thing around the border on the cloud. Very pretty. It's too bad those storms didn't kick up after dark. There would be some incredible, what we call heat lightning, right? When you can't hear the thunder if you're too far away. And for everybody, north of, say, Hanson, you wouldn't hear that thunder for a Madisonville storm, but you would see the lightning. You get the show. Natural pyrotechnics. Lucas Sigler, Madisonville got some hail. Yeah, small hail down there. Double rainbow on the way that way as well. That doesn't surprise me. I feel bad, Hopkins County it doesn't need any more rain, and I'm sure where it did rain, it came down pretty hard. And that's how it's going to go tomorrow too. We could get a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. We might even see, some very localized wind damage if those downdrafts and outflows get strong enough, and they can get pretty rambunctious in some of the bigger storms when it's this hot. Speaking of clouds, for Science Corner, you got to consider the physics here of how clouds form. And those big cumulus cumulonimbus you were looking at in Hopkins County were caused by the same process, evaporation, where that water vapor lifts into the sky and then runs into cooler air aloft and condenses. And there are little particles of dust and pollen in that we call condensation nuclei that are in that cloud. And so water droplets will stick to that by static electricity. And you get enough water droplets on your condensation nuclei and it rains. And in the case of the storms that we had today, this process happens very quickly. Big globs of water, because remember, the atmosphere is loaded with water now, it's very humid. So the storms are very efficient at producing rain, and heavy rainfall too. And it's because of aerosols and of course the lifting in the atmosphere. And those clouds float even though they weigh millions of pounds because those water droplets are dispersed over a wide area. Some of those cumulonimbus that you saw might have been 10 or 15 miles wide and maybe 5 miles tall. And so as that air rises, it takes all the moisture up with it, and you could have as much maybe as 250 metric tons of water. Consider this too, that an inch of rain on an acre, when an acre would be roughly the size of like the infield, the dirt part of a professional baseball field, about that size, or where the bases are. That would be 20,000 gallons of water just in that area, or about a backyard swimming pool's worth. So there's a bunch of water working through the atmosphere. And as long as there's buoyancy, which is to say, as long as your updraft or your heat is sufficient, it'll hold those clouds up. But when that gives out, or when it starts raining and drawing the cold air down, then the whole thing will rapidly drop its rain over a small or large area, depending on the size of the cloud. And we will see a lot more of that, I'm sure, over the next few days. We saw plenty of it last weekend, but these are going to be more isolated type thunderstorms. All right, that's all I have for you tonight. I appreciate you watching here tonight and every night. I'm actually off tomorrow, so Arden Gregory will be in here, but I'll see you on Sunday after the 4th. I'll try to get some fireworks video for everybody. In the meantime, please stay safe and keep an eye on the sky here for this holiday weekend, and I'll see you Sunday, and of course in about 45 minutes here on 14 News at 10 o'clock. Have a good night.